welcome to the Football 360 Show, the fastest hour of football talk on the planet, your Tuesday football fix. I am JP Rock. He is Matt Bierman. How you doing today, Matt?
Doing great, JP.
As you know, Matt, Football 360 Show is sponsored by Wendy's in Chesterfield, Missouri. 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road. Work hard, play hard. Wendy's is family owned and operated, known for our wings, pizza, and live entertainment. It's a great place to have a great time inside or outside in the heated patio. Wendy's also has carry-out and online ordering available. Stop by and check them out. You won't be disappointed. Make sure you let them know that you heard about it on the Football 360 Show. And if you're interested in sponsoring the Football 360 Show, reach out to Megan. Contact her on her email at megs@football360show.com. megs@football360show.com. Should love to hear from you. Would love to hear from you as you help support the Football 360 Show. Social media. You can catch us at Football 360 Show on X, Twitter, as well as Instagram. Facebook, maybe? Is that the same?
Yeah. Football 360 Show.
You're a Facebook guy.
Yeah.
You're a Facebook guru.
No, nothing close.
Right. Or if you have any questions, go ahead and feel free to ask us on that. You have any guests, anybody you want to see on the show, player, coach, you name it.
Topics, anything you want.
Reach out to us at Football 360 Show as well on those. My personal social media is at JPRockMO on Twitter, and on Instagram it is JPRockScoutsU, and they can reach you at?
Yep, on Twitter it's Elite Football, and then on Instagram it is Elite Football Academy.
Right. So all that good stuff out of the way. How are you doing, Matt?
Doing great. It's a fun time of year. We're wrapping up. Each week half the state is, another half of the state is done playing football, and college football is really starting to heat up with the college football playoffs, and the NFL is the NFL.
Yeah, it's really crazy. It's show number 9 for us, and then it's week number 11. Actually, we're heading into week number 12 in high school football and the playoffs, and in college football. What is it? It's about 9 for college football as well. Yeah. Right. Mizzou 7-2. We're going to talk a little Mizzou. Hopefully, not too many people are that disappointed with the loss to Georgia.
Yeah.
Number 1 team in the nation. You can't beat that. Hung with them, although they did last year as well.
Yeah, they did. They gave them probably their biggest scare in the regular season last year, and just came up a few plays short this year. But I think being down there playing in front of 90,000+ people is right. They put a pretty solid effort together.
They did, and they're getting everybody's best game. Georgia is, that is, and they're not the team that I think is necessarily number 1. And there's a lot of debate about that, and we can talk about that a little bit more going on. But it's not like it's Alabama. The SEC is down all across the board this year, and it's a weird thing to have happen. Which is, you have the SEC down a little bit. You see these Big Ten teams creeping in there. You have, Michigan and Ohio State, 2 and 3, something like that.
And then, it's tough, too, because the parity from league to league. I mean, SEC's down, but then, the argument is a win over Rutgers, who's 6-2 at the time, or 6-1, right, whatever they were. But who have they played, right?
Well, everybody gets exposed in the playoffs, in the bowl games.
Yeah.
So, we see a lot of years there's been times where, it's Big Ten. And then the SEC, 6th place SEC team will beat a, high-ranked Big Ten team.
There's no hiding. Well, hey, this college...
You really can't this time of year.
What the college football playoff is going to make a really neat, experiment to see how that works out.
Right. Right. It's going to be good. But you're right. You can't hide this time of year. Everybody. And I mean, there's some high school teams there's like a 4-6 team that's in the playoffs. It's going to be playing this weekend. And I think they're going to be kind of exposed going against a 10-0 team.
Yeah.
Find out. But we'll find out. Some guys are hot. Some guys are not. The playoffs are going on. ACS event that you were at.
Yeah.
American Cancer Society.
Yeah. We're a part of it. It's a really neat all-star experience for kids in the St. Louis metro region, and the Missouri American Cancer Society chapter helps run it and facilitate the entire deal. It's really a neat thing because there's giving, and there's everybody's been affected. They had the team reveal at MICDS this past Sunday. I got to go and be a part of it and check it out, and one of the most impactful things, they had a young man, Cooper Harrison, who played at Desmet and was at Quincy. He spoke, and he was a kid that trained in our program, and he gave a magnificent speech. But he's a childhood survivor of cancer, but the most impactful thing is, besides his speech, was they asked everybody to stand up if they'd known someone that had been affected by cancer. Everybody in the room stood up.
Right.
So this is a really good. Last year they raised $80,000. This year I think they have a goal of over $100,000. So you can support the players that are in it. And I would say each year the roster keeps getting better.
Oh, absolutely.
There are some really good football players. I mean, they divided the teams up pretty well, and there's some really good quarterbacks. I think in years past they've struggled to get some of those higher, bigger name quarterbacks, and this year you got Marco Sansone, Cole McKey, two MCC guys, Charlie Blondin, our undefeated Warrenton team.
Yeah.
And then, oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank?
Yeah, all these guys just picking up college offers.
So all these guys.
Is Grant Gibson playing in that?
No, Grant is not.
Grant's not. Okay.
But yeah, there's quarterbacks galore. I mean, like really high quality quarterbacks. So, but yeah, so the event is great. I think Saturday, December 9th at Missouri Baptist, we'll be there. I think it's a great opportunity to come out, support American Cancer Society, but more importantly, from a football side of things, support these guys as they, this is their last hurrah as high school football players. And, last year there was a lot of kids that got offers during the practice week.
Right.
So it should be a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's always a lot of fun. It's just one more football game to be able to see. A good venue, great players are going to be playing, so it should be a good game. And I don't know if tickets have been released yet. Have they?
I think they're just getting ready to go, and there's actually a nice little treat on the back of the ticket this year. Since we sponsor it, there'll be anybody that gets the ticket, they get a free session. We donated a free session of training to anybody that has a
Very
ticket.
nice.
So yeah, I mean, we want to do our part to pull weight and give some give some backing to the great cause.
Right, which is great. A free session to train, which is something we're going to talk about. To have a plan. Some people's season's already over with, so you want to start thinking about what's my plan to get better into next year and beyond. So something we're going to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. I just had a conversation with a young man right before we started, just called about wanting to get started now. So
yeah,
I have some thoughts on our experience and how that works.
Right, it's good. Recover from your season, then get yourself formulate a plan and get yourself going. Going to talk a little off-season development, part of that as well. Did you your team's done for the year, right? Your middle school team.
Middle school team's done. Ended up being our league champion. Finished 7-1. Had a hiccup our last game of the year, but a lot of fun. I mean, put up a lot of points.
Yeah.
I think scored like 250 something points and gave up, I think, low 20s. So pretty cool, pretty exciting. And it's again with coaching youth football. Is it really about that, or is it more about getting better from year to year? And I think adding new kids in, that are new to the sport, I think is really cool. And then integrating those guys into a system that's already been in place, and then having those guys have success. Right? I think it's really what it's all about. Because at the end of the day, kids, everybody's at different stages in middle school. Like some of these guys are like grown men, and other guys are just like little boys.
That's true.
There's a guy on my team who's a smaller guy, and I look at him, and a lot of kids just give him trouble because he's smaller, but he's really a good football player, and he fights, very competitive. And then you look at his brother, who's like a sophomore. He's 6 foot.
Yeah.
So it's not hard to deduct that kid's probably going to grow and be in that same. So people that are kind of writing him off because of his size today may not be the guys. I mean, those guys might be done. Yeah, so
that's true.
I think that's the middle school, the plight of middle school football. It's so easy to anoint kids in middle school and tell that this is going to be the most unbelievable player, right? And then realize that young man either maybe he's not going to work or maybe they're peaking physically.
Which is true. I mean, I saw a 6'6", 300+ pound 8th grader this past weekend who was playing some ball. Got to see a couple of 8th grade championship games along with my other games, and you're absolutely right. This kid, is he going to grow? Is he going to be 7 foot? Is he done? Is he going to continue to develop physically, or is this it? Is he going to get better as a player? All that stuff is what goes into it. And you're right. Everybody wants to anoint this person or that person, this person or that person the next thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny how guys fall by the wayside, and then the people who anoint them, whatever, they're going to be next superstar. Never mention them again.
So the term that affectionately we use is middle school hero, high school zero.
Ooh.
And it happens because at the end of the day, like it's like a kid getting an early offer, right? Yeah. If you get an early offer, only certain human beings are well equipped enough to take that offer and for what it's worth and move on and keep training and look at the further destination.
Right.
But a lot of guys, they feel as though they've arrived when that happens and they stop working. And there's numerous kids that you could, over the years in our area, that they've gotten that freshman after their freshman year, gotten an offer, and that's the slow decline down.
Yes.
And so that happens. And so I think, keeping guys around you that are going to help you understand that the work is never done.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're a 7th grader, a 9th grader, a senior, or a guy that's getting ready to go to Alabama. The work never ends.
Right. The goal is not to collect offers. The goal is to keep building, which is why I always say keep building. You don't want to just do the work. You want to keep building because you want to go as far as you can possibly take yourself and as far as the game can possibly take you instead of just, collecting offers. Because some guys, that's it. They love it.
100%.
They love the double-digit offers, 20 offers from this one, offers from that one, and then people are always like, well, whatever happened to whoever? Well, the thing is they quit building themselves and quit building towards their end goal of playing on the highest level possible.
Yep, 100%.
So, going to talk about that. We brought up the subject of committable offers last week, and some bunch of people wanted us to elaborate on that a little bit. So we're gonna do that as well. I was also, besides the middle school championship games, which are a lot of fun because kids are really, that's where the most enthusiasm is now. Because like you said, the smaller kids, they're just as excited as the guys who are going to go on and be high school football stars.
Yeah.
Right, and they love to get in there and they play with their all, and it's really for the love of the game. That's like the last purest form. High school is as well, but middle school is you're playing for the love of it.
Yeah, I like these guys playing at that younger age. At the end of the day, it's all they know. It's all relative to them. So their families are just as excited about the Super Bowl or the league championship or whatever it might be. They put in a lot of work. They put in a lot of extra work. They put in a lot of, a lot of nights of being away from their families as coaches and as kids. Really stressing themselves. 2, 3 days, 4 days a week of football, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
And it's the culmination of it. And I think, at the end of the day, is it all about winning championships? I probably not. I talked to Brady Cook recently. We were just talking, shooting the breeze. The breeze, and one of the things he was talking about was his days. I was telling him about my team and what they were up to that weekend, and he was like, "Oh man, I played in so many of those, and I won only so many of them." But he's like, "You cherish the ones you win, and you realize how hard it is actually to win."
Yes.
And it's tough to beat a team twice, right? In high school, it's tough.
At any level, yeah.
Any level, right? The NFL obviously has that double schedule type deal within the within the division, but it's hard. It's really hard to do. So, I think it's really cool to get kids interested in competing.
Right.
Again,
the kids, the parents. I got to tell you what, I think the middle school parents are more vocal than the high school parents. And it's a lot of fun. It was also got to see our guy Daedon Hopkins, unfortunately, lose to Live for Life, who really, came back from being down in the first half and came back and just pulled away from him. Daedon had a good game, but Live for Life, really good game by them coming back, just powerful. They're a running team. They lost their quarterback, Keyshawn Hill, who I know you know.
Yep.
And so their quarterback was a receiver who moved in there running, and so they were bigger and they were built for running the ball. And they got away from that a little bit in the first half, and then they just came back and ran it, and that was their key to victory. Also got to see Holt Hannibal, which was really good. And again, I know you're really familiar with a lot of the Holt players as well. Just a great effort by them. They have a really underrated quarterback named Aiden Sullivan.
For sure.
Who's thrown for, I think he might be the leader in the St. Louis area.
Yeah, he's a kid that trained a whole bunch with one of our coaches, Marcus Snozik, who's a really good quarterback developer. And he kind of laid in wait. He got, Cooper Brown was there when he first got there, and then he was behind the guy last year, and now he's
this
the starter. This was his 1 year, and but they run a really good system.
They do.
Really good system.
They do, and some really nice players. They're going to be graduating a lot. They got some good guys coming back though. Gabriel Cunningham, who I got to talk a little bit of recruiting with, was really good, and Hannibal is just a team to watch because they have a player named Anyas Williams, who's just lights out.
No relation though, right?
No relation, no. And he gets asked that all the time. And I love, I've been to a bunch of, I've watched Anyas since he was a sophomore. First game I saw him, he was a sophomore. He he reeled off 6 touchdowns, right? Rushing, I think he had one catching. And he's very comparable, and I think I might have told you this to Kyron Williams. Both, Anyas is going to Notre Dame. And, of course, Kyron went to Notre Dame as well. However, I do think that Anyas is a little more advanced than Kyron at the same stage.
Wow, yeah, that's saying a lot.
That is saying a lot. I mean, he's really and ran for 256 yards, 4 touchdowns. They've been having him lay a little low, playing a lot of wide receiver. So fresh legs, fresh body, and I mean,
smart move.
Holt got to enjoy the Anyas Williams experience. So I talked to Anyas a little bit after the game, and here's what he had to say about his performance in his season.
Anyas Williams, class 24 running back, all-purpose back, committed to Notre Dame.
Thoughts on tonight's game?
Game plan, we exceeded the game plan. They fought hard. They were a great team. All credit to them. But I think the big props goes to our line with our rushing success. And it really just playing smash mouth football, just doing what Hannibal does. But obviously, we have the pass threat. So I think it's really hard to game plan for us. But I think we executed the game plan well.
You really are an all-purpose back, and you've been utilized a little different this year.
Yeah. So, these past 4 weeks, we've just been trying to show teams different things, and they don't know how to scout me. With wide receiver, haven't played running back for 4 weeks now, and then I jump in at running back and, did my thing as far as that goes.
You look like you have fresh legs.
Yeah, absolutely. It was nice. Just fresh legs, fresh body, and, just shout out to the line keeping me untouched throughout the season and just staying healthy. That's the big thing this year.
31 touchdowns so far this year, 35 now. Just your thoughts overall on your season?
That's the first I've heard of it, of stats-wise. I try to, I'm not really too focused on that right now. I'm just trying to be with this team and take it all in the senior year.
Right. Thoughts for Notre Dame fans?
Oh, we're coming. Let's go. Go Irish.
I love how he said, just did my thing. Did my thing.
Yeah.
At 256 yards, 4 touchdowns, which is, like I said, first time I saw him, he reeled off 6 touchdowns as a sophomore. But he's just a really put together kid, both physically and mentally. And as you can tell, he's very mature.
Notre Dame has gotten a number of kids out of Missouri over the years, and it's kind of the similar type of kid, right? Very smart. Jeremiah Love from CBC, very intelligent. 4-point whatever student, and Kyron was a really good student.
Yeah.
Jonathan Bonner, who was at Berkeley Central, really good student, and then
Justin Thurman, who played
Thurman.
it.
Yeah,
down
another
at Tampa
guy that we train. He's down at Tampa Jesuit. He's going there. Really good student. Yeah, I don't think you go to Notre Dame just for football. Obviously, it's a huge component, but you realize there's a lot more to it as well. And I think they sell that as part of their package.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Because, everybody could go to Alabama or Georgia, but, when a guy singles them out, they're looking at a little bit more than just the football aspect.
Correct.
But just a really exciting player and, somebody that everybody needs to watch. It's hard to get too much recognition up in Hannibal. Mm-hmm. A lot of people know about him, but he's really fun to watch, and he's somebody to watch going forward because he's a guy who could probably play college football this year. Just based on what physically and mentally, the whole 9 yards. And you can see it. He's in rare air when he's up there up against everybody else. everything looks different, right? He looks like he's from a different planet.
Playing a different game.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And and the tricky thing is sometimes there are guys in high school that look really good.
Right.
But you and I would watch him and be like, well, he doesn't project very well to the next level, right?
Exactly.
You see a guy like that, you go, well, he projects.
Exactly.
Well.
Exactly. And a question that we had, you can reach out to us at Football 360 Show on Twitter or Instagram and ask questions. We had a question that we had was from somebody who wanted to know if the all-conference and soon next month the all-state selections are going to be coming out. And they wanted to know, does the all-state, all-conference selections, all-metro selections, does that affect recruiting? Does that have anything to do with recruiting?
I think a lot of it's very good for the kids to have those acknowledgments, but in the grand scheme it means very little if anything, right? I don't know that there's anywhere that a coach is going to go, well, he was all state or he was all this, because coaches are smart enough to understand there is definitely a pecking order when it comes to a lot of those conference selections and all metros and all of that type of stuff, where there's the better teams usually get more guys on those teams, right? The guys that place higher get more seedings on that. So there's a lot of things that go into that. So you could be a really high-level player on a lower-level team that didn't get the results they wanted, and maybe you don't get the higher placement. And like I saw offensive lineman the other day, it was a second-team guy, and I was like, that won't affect him going to college. There's plenty of offers and people looking at him.
Right. No, my easy answer for that one is no. It has no bearing whatsoever on your recruitment, on who gets recruited and who recruits you. It's great recognition for the work that you've done as a high school player, but there is a difference between a good high school player or even an excellent high school player and a good or excellent high-level college prospect. And they're just not judged on the same thing. And you're absolutely right. I've seen that as well, where I've seen some D1 guys, going to SEC school as low as, third team All-State. And, it just doesn't have that bearing. And a lot of it's all subjective. It's like anything else. It's just like with the star rankings or any other kind of rankings. I'm not huge into rankings because it's so subjective, and B, there's not a lot of difference a lot of times.
No.
You can't tell me that people know that definitively that there is a difference between a player who is ranked number 8 and a player who's ranked number 9 or number 7. Everybody can tell who the best of the best is, right? Even people who don't follow football regularly, You can get your grandma who's never watched a football game in her life, and if you sit her down and she can say, hey, well, that guy's really above everybody else.
It's very obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, like I could tell you as a guy who's been developing quarterbacks for 20-plus years, I can tell you pretty quickly watching someone throw a football in a game or even in a training scenario, and give you a pretty good assessment of where they shake out at that given time, right? And as you look at the younger guys, you've seen so many different iterations of that over the years. You know what you're looking at, so it's pretty easy to say, okay, this guy fits kind of in this mold. Things you can account for is determination, leadership, all those things, but those are necessary components as well. So, but from a mechanical standpoint and from a overall athleticism standpoint, it's very easy to see the guys who are the guys, and that's why an Anyas Williams stands out, because he is just different, and that's not a slight on the other kids.
Oh.
And there might be kids on that field going to other Division I schools, but they might not be the impact player, right, that he's going to be.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing. And you're absolutely right. And with what I do and how long I've been doing it, I can pick out guys. I like to watch warm-ups, right? I watch warm-ups. I can tell who's what from warm-ups. And this is why I always say you never know who's watching you. Always be performing at your best, even if it's just in a stretch line, in warm-ups, whatever. Because somebody's there watching you that you don't necessarily know is watching you. And like I said, you can tell.
Jamie Pond, who's our offensive line guru at Elite Football.
Love talking to Jamie.
He is an unbelievable assessor of talent, right? He's very good, very opinionated when it comes down to it. But he will, to your point, watch kids warming up. You look at their stature, right? You just kind of see what you're working with. Then you watch them move, right? And then there's different components of the warm-up, but as guys start to get a little bit more ballistic and explosive in their movements, it's very easy to see. But there's a lot of guys that will come in that pass the eyeball test,
Right.
but when they start moving, you can tell there's a disconnection.
Oh, without a doubt.
Right? And so that disconnection is as a coach, doesn't mean you write that guy off. You can definitely work with him and improve him. But sometimes there's some things that are insurmountable because, those motor behaviors that they learned when they were little kids or they didn't focus on through sports or development training or just, their normal development as a kid, a lot of that can't be unwritten. And so that actually brings up a really interesting topic. So people, like, when should I start lifting weights with my kid, right? So if you think about it, like in terms of like cycles of learning. So you learn to walk, you learn to start to move, you start to play sports. Learning to move, acceleration, deceleration, lateral movement, agility, explosiveness off the ground, returning to the ground, safely. All those are skill sets. Those are probably the most important skill sets to learn from the age of 7 up through about 12, 13, right?
Yes.
That's like the golden window when you can teach people things. If you're a quarterback, it's when you want to learn those mechanics. It is a golden window for those skill sets, right? We're not talking about offensive line blocking. We're talking about fundamental movement strategies that every human being needs in daily life, as well as if you're going to compete in sports, field or court-based sports. So learning those skill sets as a little guy is a huge competitive advantage because you can't, once a person starts to go through puberty, it becomes very difficult to start to retrain them, right? So you think about like as a young male starts to get testosterone in their body, think of that as more like a cementing of those muscles in the body, right? So the body starts to get bigger, strong. What do you associate with getting, testosterone in a young male? They start to gain a little bit of muscle, their physique changes, their jawline changes. All those little things are indications that the body is ready to move on from that fundamental stage. The fundamental stage is where you learn all these things. So any advice to kids out there or parents that have younger kids, get them playing multiple sports, but another sport they should be focusing on is how to learn how to move.
Yes. How
to move. Gymnastics is another way to do that. Wrestling is another way to do it. But teach someone how to run. You can teach people how to run.
Oh, absolutely. And we see it all the time, especially like at the combine. Some guys don't necessarily know how to run, and it can affect them, and it definitely affects their 40. Yeah. It affects, any of the other testing events that they do as well. Broad jump, vertical jump, shuttle especially, and a lot of time is sort of wasted having to teach those guys on the fly how to do that. Yeah. And you're absolutely right, because when you start learning at a young age, then it becomes muscle memory. And it's second nature, and that's what you want. And that's one of the things that separates the good from the elite, I guess would say, is they develop that early and they retain that muscle memory and just keep developing it as they continue to mature.
Over and over and over. So like speed is the ultimate, right? It's still at the NFL they still time the 40, right?
Oh yeah.
They know you're 10, they know you're 20, they know you're 40.
Guys have made millions of dollars just because they can run fast. And so, might not be able to play, but they can run fast.
And you go, well, that guy's been fast his whole life. But yes, there's a sequence of events that help that human being particularly move better than other human beings.
Yes.
And so, yes, some people have more fast twitch muscle fiber in their bodies, but that doesn't automatically make you a good runner with good form.
Right. So spending time on it and learning, fundamentals of movement, between that 7 up to 13-ish range, and then you say, well, when do you start lifting weights? Well, conventional wisdom would say you can start lifting lightweight when they're in that time frame, but not for gaining strength because there's no ability to really gain strength. So you're learning the technique of it and just how to control your body through push-ups and sit-ups and pull-ups. So those things are really good for younger athletes. And then, what is the right workout phase for older kids? And I can tell you that, I've kind of teased this a few times, but we've gotten to a point within our own training program. We have a program called Off-Season, okay? And Off-Season is a strategic program that is designed to help athletes become maximized. Okay, so think of it in these terms. Like when I was a kid and you were a kid, we would go in and we'd do weightlifting with our team.
So, but there's basic fundamentals to each human being. There's strength, there's power, there's fluidity, like the measurement between that, and then there's like movement efficiency, or kind of the 4 big buckets that you want to have athletes work in. So, and you measure them. So say you and I are both working on the same program. You're stronger than me, but I'm more powerful, meaning you can lift more weight and sustain it, but I can do it quicker, but not as much weight. You put us on a weightlifting program as a parochial program. Everybody in the whole program is doing it. We're all doing it together, and the team's all doing the same kind of concept. Well, let's just say it has more of a strength bent to the lifts, right? Who's going to benefit from that? I will, because I'm the one that needed strength work. You're going to get stronger. You didn't need to get stronger. You now become injury prone. Right. You now become more labored in your movements. Yeah. So we've gotten to the point now where we actually employ force plates, where the athletes jump on the force plates. It gives us like 56 different measurements about what their power and their strength and fluidity are. And then it tells us right to left what their body does and how their body's reacting. And you can pinpoint what they need to do, right? And so our program actually has there's an algorithm and some artificial intelligence inside of it. And every 30 days they test, and the player gets the program they need to address their needs. And, the dirty little secret is most places you're going to work out, whether that's a personal trainer or a facility, they're guessing. It's just an art form. They're trying to do the best they can and work from what they did. But now technology has caught up. So the guy that heads up all of our performance at off-season is a gentleman named Jacob Buffa, and he is the director of sports science for the Astros, who are at the forefront of baseball, right, as far as human development and their teams. They're one of the best programs. But I would say as kids are starting to look, there's certain things you want to do when you're younger, and there's definitely things you want to do as you get older, 14 and above. And that lifting and movement strategies are become hypercritical, because at the end of the day, you only get one time to do it. And if you do it wrong and someone else is doing it right, there goes your opportunity. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah, and that's a great high-tech advantage. Huge. And just really moving things along. Total game changer, which is something we see why we're seeing more and more kids become more heavily recruited. Yes. Something like that, which leads us to off-season is here for some people. Time to make a plan. What's your off-season strategy? Football is a year-round sport. You better figure out something. You can't just decide, okay, well, I'm going to wait till next June when high school camp starts, and then I'm going to go out there, I'm going to kill it.
Hey, how many guys do we see show up at the Lindenwood camp that have been playing another sport all off season, to show up to Lindenwood and try to put their football hat back on and play? Yes, colleges love multi-sport athletes. Yeah. But they demand that you're ready to be evaluated when they need to evaluate you. There's no spot that says, hey, I just got done playing 2 baseball games. Yeah. Give me a pass. They don't care. That's not how it works. So, there's enough hours in the day where you can, have a plan so you know what you need to do. That doesn't mean you have to stop playing other sports. It just means you need to be very strategic about how you align your off season and what are your goals. And that might be, you don't go out on Friday nights and you're working out. That might be the weekends are devoted to working out and doing better, learning skills. There's time, but you got to make sure you have a strategic plan. And you said something earlier, JP. There is something good about taking a little break once the season ends, decompress,
recover
your body.
Yeah.
Yep, let your body recover, because it's been in a pretty beat up state for a number of weeks. And then, rest, sleep, eat good food, and then start to ease yourself back in your workouts. And then, kind of usually the barrier is, once January 1 comes, you got 8 months to get ready for the season, and it's time to go.
Right. Or what you want to do is, after you recover, if you're going to be, say you're going to be testing, say you want to go to the Elite Combine, which is March the 9th, 2024. You want to recover, then you want to make your plan, you want to start doing your workouts, and you want to be your best. So you want to train towards that goal in mind. And you want to use the entire year up until, say, college camp season to be training. You want to use the Elite Football Combine as a jumping off point, starting point. Now you know what you can do, what you need to work on leading up into that point, which is what I always think is great about the Elite Combine.
Yeah, we strategically put it a little bit later into the spring because with understanding you have the end of the season, you have holidays, and there's a rush to get in like a Christmas time, New Year's time, combines or camps across the country. And I know like the guys at the U.S. Army All-American one always do it like right after the week after New
like
Year's.
January 2nd or something.
And so the problem with that is that a lot of kids are just physically not ready. They're nursing injuries from the season.
A lot of guys playing other sports,
wrestling starting up.
Yep.
So that's asking a lot of those athletes, and to try to repair and do another sport and prepare. I think that's asking a lot, but there are kids that definitely do that. So we do have guys that specialize in combine technique training, which I think goes a long way. But at the end of the day, I believe on our side of it, we do that. In the spring, we do the Elite Football Combine, so guys have a time to prepare and kind of weave it into their fall, their winter sport as well with their winter sport and work them together.
Yeah, it's that sweet spot because I just saw Daedon Hopkins on Saturday against Lift for Life, and he's going right in. I guess yesterday, basketball season. Mm-hmm. There goes basketball practice. And he's not sure he's going to play baseball too. So there's that. And in the meantime, he did point out to me that he was looking forward to training at Elite again.
Yeah.
So wanted me to let you know that.
And but the thing is, and we'll be happy to have him back in the doors because he's a worker.
Oh.
But having that plan once the season ends, rest, recover, work out. Right. If you're playing another sport, great. But have that plan so you're starting to peak, let's say, early March for the first time.
Right.
Start to establish your workouts again. You'll be some spring camps and combines. And then really your next major component of recruiting and being prepared is the football camp season of summer, which kicks off at Lindenwood. So, obviously we hope you have really good film from this season. Whatever you can put together, remember how to do it. Put your best plays up first. Don't just, don't try and build a crazy long story. Just put the best plays up first. Let those coaches establish and see who you are. Get your body back in shape. Come in. Have some appreciable gains on your weight and your size and speed.
Develop yourself.
Yep, develop yourself so that you just show up and not just to test to see where you're at. Show up and put some good numbers down. Coaches will see that. That starts another phase of the recruiting process. And then you're off into the spring, and next thing you know, it's summer recruiting period, and then you're ready to roll into the next season.
Yeah, you want to put your best foot forward, which leads us to another thing is the recruiting. You also want to make a plan for recruiting. Mm-hmm. You want to do your huddle cut-ups, just like you said, best plays first, because coaches don't spend the time to look at you building up. You make a block on your first play. Okay, well, that's great. Boom, I'm done looking at you.
Yeah.
That's how quickly it works. You want to do that, then you want to make sure that you follow coaches and recruiting staffs. Find out who the recruiting staffs are. Do a little research. Do a little homework. Find out who they are, because those guys, you might see some guys follow you on social media, and you're like, oh, well, who's that? Well, it says, University of whatever, but I don't know them as a coach. Do your research. Find those guys. Follow them. Message everybody. Introduce yourself. Then you can send them your thing. Stay in contact. It's up to you. Be proactive. Don't just wait for them to come to you. Sometimes they overlook you. They can't see everybody. Even though they have a staff, they might not know. So you be proactive. You want to help yourself, you be proactive. Do those things. The huddle cut up, your best plays. Check the social media. Do your research on who the coaches and the recruiting staffs are. Follow them. Introduce yourself. And develop a relationship with people. And that way, you get invites to some junior days. Hey, you want to come to a spring practice, and then go from there. These are the things you need to do simultaneously. The training as well as the work to develop a relationship and get yourself promoted and recognized.
Yeah, another really good strategy is we talked about, go on to the website, fill out the recruiting questionnaires. Mm-hmm. While you're there, every college page is pretty much the exact same. Click on Inside Athletics. Click on the directory. In that directory, you'll find the football coaches' listing of their names, right?
Yes.
Sometimes bigger programs, they'll have a generic email. Other times they will legitimately have their email and the coach's phone number. And oftentimes now they will actually have the person's Twitter handle in there as part of their information. That's a really good one. So you can go in and start making a spreadsheet with all those names. Send it far and wide. College coaches are like, they move. They are not stable in any one position for a very long time. There's very few staffs that are like that. So you need to understand that a guy at a D2 school might be at an FCS school next year. A guy at an FCS school might be at an FBS school next year. You need to really spread your name far and wide because you don't know where those guys are going to be.
Right.
You have no idea.
Get your name out.
Yeah.
Get your name out there, and like I said, look at the whole staff. Staffs are huge now. Used to be there was like an assistant who was the recruiting coordinator, and then he might have had an assistant. Now you have entire staffs, and you have guys who will just sit there and look at video, and then try to contact guys through social media and all this other stuff. But be proactive. Don't just sit there and wait. And then say that you're slept on.
Chances are the first person seeing it's going to be a recruiting, like an analyst. Someone's going to look, or a GA is going to look at your film, and then they're going to see the film. And if it passes the muster of what they are, it will pass on to the next group. And these offers don't just come by one single person. They are usually a consortium. There's a group of people that are going to sit down and talk, that assess where guys are on their boards.
Staff meetings, yeah.
And they meet about it constantly.
Yep.
So,
and some teams want to have consensus. Mm-hmm. I know some teams that I've dealt with in the past, they want to have consensus. They get in the room, and if not enough people say, hey, let's offer this guy yay or nay, they don't offer him. Which can cause a lot of consternation.
So like those offers, you'll go back into something we talked about last week. You had we put up a reel with you talking about committable and non-committable offers. Mm-hmm. So someone sent me a message of a guy who's a very interesting character that's online that does quarterback and receiver stuff.
Uncle Rico.
Yeah, it's similar, and he's got a lot of people that follow him. Yeah, and not knocking the game, but so he goes into a diatribe about, well, committable versus non-committable. And his understanding was, if they don't, if you get an offer before your junior year, which you're not supposed to get, which we know occur, you technically, that's not a non-committable offer. But what we're talking about is, again, we're coming from a place where, I've personally been involved with 1,000+ kids that have gone on and played Division I, Power 5 football. Of that, 75 have gone to the NFL, right? So we're dealing like when I say this, it's not to come across as braggadocious. It's to say, been there, done that. I understand how it works. We have connections all across, college football, even in the NFL. But the reality of it is, what we're talking about when we say committable versus non-committable, there will be kids that are well within that window after September of their junior year, August going into September of junior year, where they have offers. And they're seniors, and they have offers, and they believe that they're committable, and they are not committable, right? And like you said, if you want to know if it's committable, try and commit.
That's the easiest way.
A great story. I had a kid a number of years ago, a rising senior, so he's just finished his junior year. He's at a camp at University of Illinois. They offer him at the camp. He and his dad driving. I talked to him, and they're driving. They probably get down 30 minutes heading back towards St. Louis. The kid says, "Dad, I want to commit to Illinois." He calls, and it was non-committable. It was a placeholder.
Right.
That's all it is. It's a placeholder. Yeah. They can offer, people don't know this. They can offer 30+ kids to fill 2 spots.
Yes. There have been teams in the past who've handed out 250, 300 offers. Yeah. You think every one of those 300 kids they were going to take their commitment from? No. That wasn't it.
Up until this year, they had limits of what they could sign per class. Right. Well, now they've changed that with transfer portal and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, they still have a static number of scholarships they have on their team.
Right. But that's a strategy, right? They're going to offer a lot of guys and just work within that, and a lot of it is they have a recruiting board, Yeah. You might have an offer, but you might be on the D list as far as, wait and see if A, B, C. goes through, and they're still waiting on those guys, which is why, and I've said in the past, it's a business. Treat it as such. There's nothing wrong. It's a business from their end. There's no bad guys. I'm not going to say anybody's a bad guy, but it's a business from their end, so you need to treat it as a business as well. You need to make sure that you protect yourself. You need to make sure that you protect your interests, and so look at it that way. It's a negotiation process. I know that they have something that you want. You have something they want, so negotiate in good faith. And now more than ever, negotiate on NIL. Negotiate on what you can bring to the table, right? Just made it more of a business,
and understand that it can go from 0 to 60 really quickly, because you can be a guy that has no offers. We're talking about Talon Chandler.
Yep.
Didn't have a ton of offers. Now all of a sudden, he's getting love, and now he's a 4-star guy, and he's getting invited to All-American games.
Yeah.
And now he's got some cachet, and he has the ability to negotiate on NIL, I would imagine. So, another thing is, a guy told me, one of my buddies that's in college coaching, said, there's no such thing as roster limits anymore, as far as there's roster limits, but there's no such thing as scholarship limits, because there's NIL money that's being paid to guys that are going to these schools, right? And so they're getting things taken care of. Like, there's guys that are walk-ons that are not really walk-ons, if you know what I mean. So, now that doesn't happen at every level of school, right? I mean, there's FCS schools that's probably not going to happen, but it can happen at those bigger FBS schools for sure.
Right.
Right. And there's ways to, the only guys getting paid are not just the guys on scholarship.
That's true. What's going to be interesting to see going forward is how that all shakes out, and who becomes a better program because of it or not because of it. Mizzou, we talked about them. They lost to Georgia. They're 7-2. They still have a chance to win 10 games, and I would say at this point that the odds are that they are. They have Tennessee and Florida both at home. To me, it's strange. The Georgia game seems like their first road game. You know what I mean? I mean, they've had the majority of their games at home or in St. Louis. Would you count Vanderbilt as a road game? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
So they have Tennessee. It's a sellout, which it's their 4th sellout in a row, which
awesome.
this blows my mind. It's like the longest sellout streak in 43 years. 4 consecutive.
It's amazing what winning will do.
It is.
Have you seen the plans that they've put out for that, the end zone, I guess the north end zone?
Yeah.
Where they build over the top of the M, preserve the M, but have the new section. I mean, from what I was told, that's probably like in the works. Like maybe not that exact plan, but it's gonna happen. So I'm excited. I get to go to my first. I went to the Memphis game, but first Mizzou on-campus game this year with my family this weekend. So
nice. So you're going to be at the Tennessee game?
Yeah, I get to go. Nice. It's my first weekend really off. So
going to do some sideline report back here next week.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm more the get in, get out, but I've been asked to stay after the game. So.
I know you like to like become part of the wall.
Yeah, right? I'm there to watch football. That's me.
I get it. Me too.
Yeah, I just so I'm excited about it. Get to see it. Tennessee's a heck of a team. They're fun. I love their offense, so it'll be fun to watch
Josh
those
Heupel,
guys.
Former Mizzou offensive coordinator.
Alec Ablin, one of our former elite players.
Kevin Pendleton, another former Mizzou guy. It's so funny to see guys like from Kevin Pendleton. I remember being at one of his games, and he's running off the field after the game, and I stop him, and he's like, "You sure you want to talk to me?" And I'm like, oh, yeah. You just wait and see. And now he's at Tennessee. Alec, the same thing. Yeah. It's all these guys are moving up and coaching in colleges, being part of staffs.
Yeah, we have, I forgot the number, but it is in the 20s, high to mid-20s of guys that we coach that are now coaching FBS or in the NFL.
It's
wild.
It is wild.
It's really wild.
See all that happen. So that's going to be interesting. So we'll just wait for your report
analysis,
back.
Yeah.
Yep, your analysis of the game.
Yeah.
You're going to give us a play-by-play. A lot of recruiting stuff going on. Mr. Corey Sims, 2025 wide receiver, is just blown up within the past week. I think he's had 6 offers within the past 5 days from Penn State, West Virginia, Ole Miss, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Michigan State. And it's just, and you knew this was coming. Corey's a guy who I've been promoting and been saying elite caliber. Well, now the offers have caught up. See, I do it the opposite way.
Yeah.
I say who is a big-time player, who is an elite caliber player before the offers come, before the stars come.
He's big. He's rangy. He catches the ball extremely well.
Yeah. He's a legit 6'3", 190-pound plus guy who has track speed. You know,
he's aggressive, dude, going up for the ball as well. So he's a guy that definitely warrants what the attention he's getting, and I think he will be we've talked about a national level recruit.
Absolutely.
Highly rated, but he's a guy. He played 7-on-7 for us the last couple years, and after his freshman year, it was like, wow, this kid's only a freshman at that point.
Right. Right.
And that team was him, Justin Thurman, so two national, and then Justin King.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think who else. Jason Wiley, really good team. Justin Price, just some really solid kids who are now all getting recruiting attention. But those guys, you younger guys, you don't realize how fast it happens. After that freshman year, it's a blitz. If you're a guy and you've put yourself in position, and you're ready, but it doesn't happen by accident. Corey is skilled. Corey's a worker, though.
He is a worker.
Yeah, he's a worker.
Yeah. He's definitely earned what's come his way.
Imagine him in a college strength program.
Man.
He's
if you see him lately, he's getting bigger.
Yeah.
You see it coming, but you're absolutely right. Once he gets in a strength and conditioning program in college, he's going to be a monster. Titan Davis, speaking of it happening fast, it was just last summer that I'm talking to Titan, and he's transitioning from being an 8th grader to a freshman, and now he's he's just picked up 2 offers this week, one from Minnesota and one from Kent State to go with his first offer he picked up a week or so ago from Kansas State. So it's a blur. It's only up from there. 6'5", 235, 240 pounds. I think he's a little bigger than 235. And just beginning, just scratching the surface is what's going to come. Peyton Brown, another guy that you know very well, just picked up an offer from Southern Illinois.
Yeah, he's a steal. Whoever gets him is a steal. Then they'll have a fast track to his brother, which will be another steal.
Peyton, we're going to talk about him at some point. I've talked about him a little bit. He's part of that 2025 class. Mm-hmm. Just monster athletically and as a quarterback. He's not just the fast guy who can run, but he has a skill. He is a quarterback first, who just happens to be gifted athletically. Daedon Hopkins picked up offers from Cincinnati and Mizzou. Mizzou offered him as a tight end, and he thought that was interesting. And he's.
I don't think it's interesting. Look how athletic he is.
Well, I got to tell you what. I was there, and he had a nice touchdown catch. He runs like a receiver at 6'6", 220 pounds. So no, he would like to. I think he would like to play defensive end. Yeah. But everything else might move him in that other direction.
Hey, Mizzou's starting to get a little bit more aggressive and come back on some guys that they had maybe missed in the first go-around or maybe taking some new light on in-state guys. So I'm really interested to see.
They were delayed.
There could be some big developments coming down the line. I think they're starting to really circle the wagons and understand the value of having high-quality kids from the state of Missouri. There is... I know I'm biased, but we have some really outstanding athletes in our St. Louis Metro, Kansas City, and then
around the state.
Go around the state.
Yeah,
you go down down in the southeast portion of the state.
Look at Kellen Lindstrom from Springfield, Glendale, going to be going to Tennessee.
Right. I mean, so
here's the thing, and I have no problem saying it. The University of Missouri can build a championship team off of Missouri kids first. You make that your base. And then you surround it with whatever you need from elsewhere.
Correct.
But the base that can win a championship, look at what's happening this year. They might win 10 games. And who are the primary guys? Cody Schrader out of St. Louis. Still leading the SEC in rushing.
Yeah.
Brady Cook, St. Louis. Luther Burden, St. Louis.
Yep.
Just down the line.
Yeah, I think that...
They're safeties that should be playing. Local guys.
Right. I think if they circle the wagons... they can pick guys up that maybe we're going to leak out the back door, and I think that's exciting. I think that's really good, and I think that for us, locally in our market for football, it only does more to promote young kids playing the game, getting excited about it, and wanting to be a part of it.
Absolutely. And you want to talk about local guys. We need like a 2-hour to 3-hour show.
I know.
To get
I think we need to add like an interview show.
Everything in, just a couple different things. Because, I mean, we haven't really, gone over the playoffs. A lot of great playoff action happening, big games. Is there any particular games that stand out to you?
I think Rockwood Summit Eureka will be a lot of fun.
That's going to be a war.
Yeah, I think MICDS and Ritter should be a fun game.
Francis Howell CBC.
I think that'll be a fun game.
That's going to be a monster. Rockhurst, Lee Summit North. What
did Lee Summit North put up? A large number of points on somebody, or someone over in the Kansas City side had a 70-point.
Oh yeah.
Is it Liberty North?
It might have been Liberty North.
Yeah, one of the 70+ points.
That's
wow.
They're gonna have an intercity rival between Liberty and Liberty North this week. I mean, just Joplin and Nixa. I mean, now you're having rivalry games.
Yeah.
As part of the playoff games.
They did a good job of seating those. Like putting the districts together. I think because they did some really solid matchups.
They really did. Because and now you're going to see it, and it's just going to be more and more solid matchups going forward. Didn't have time. I compiled a list of college players that have been to the elite combine. I just randomly picked.
Rifle through them.
Just real quick.
Got a few minutes. We got a few.
Just a couple minutes. So I just randomly picked, say, the year 2020.
Okay.
The COVID year, right?
Yeah.
I remember it was right before COVID hit. So some of the names who were at that one, I mean, I have like over 30 D1, P5 D1 guys, including Caden Green at Oklahoma, including Jamarian Wade, one of the local guys at Mizzou. Kyan Roberts-Day at Baylor. You have Ja'Kai Lang at Mizzou. Cameron Epps at Oklahoma State. You have Paris Patterson at Arkansas. You also have Ryan Boyd, Missouri State. Ryan King, Northern Illinois. Jason Essex from Kansas City, Winnetonka, came over to the Elite Combine, playing at Iowa State. Tyler Gant, Northwestern. You have Kyle Long, who won one of the All-Stars.
Yes, he did.
What played in the
All-Star game.
Yeah, American Cancer Society All-Star game, playing at Maryland. Miles McVeigh, Alabama. I mean, that's not even some of the younger guys that were there. Carson Boyd, Jeremiah McClellan, Chris Bennett.
Jeremiah Love would have been there, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Jeremiah Love was there. Jeremiah Love was a comeback. Well, see, you're going to 2021 where you had Ryan Wingo, Jeremiah Love, Justin Thurman, Nathan Rubel, Trevor Burr, Dontrell Holt, Kellen Lindstrom going to Tennessee.
We need to look at the NFL guys that have come through it too. I mean, it's really a wild deal to see all those guys. A lot of them, it's their very first experience doing something like that.
Oh yeah.
And I think we pride ourselves in doing it the right way. There's no mistake that we've done it longer than anybody else in this area for a reason.
16 years.
People have come and gone. They've popped up. They've tried it, and then they realize, it's a lot of work. We take pride in doing it. I don't think it's an accident that we also do the Lindenwood Mega Camp as well. We do all the testing there, and you and I are heavily involved in that. And we don't take it lightly. We're really serious about what we do. We love giving opportunities for people to get better in the game of football. That's why we're doing this show, is at least tell people and give an access point to where they can learn more about the process.
Inform and educate is what this show is about.
And that's all it is. And so, we're at the points in our lives where I don't need validation from the next big kid to come through. Like, I think our body of work stands on its own.
Oh, absolutely.
If you compare it nationwide, I don't think there's a lot of other organizations that kind of have the same thing. There might be more, like maybe someone on the West Coast, someone in Florida. But for the Midwest, we have a pretty darn good
track record. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about this is most of these guys came through before they were guys.
Yes. Hey, and one last thing. This weekend, we do have our Midwest Boom tryouts. This Sunday,
shameless self-promotion. Go ahead.
This Sunday at the Earth City, the old St. Louis Rams Park, but it's Luth Fuse Athletic
Center. Yep.
3:30 to 5:30.
Number 1 Rams Way, right?
Yep. Number 1 Rams Way. I think they call it number 1 Athletic Way now.
There you go.
So, but we will have tryouts for our 12 up through 18U teams. We got some of the best coaches in the area. Like I said, you will be trying out for the OT7, Midwest Boom OT7 team. It's the only one in the Midwest. There's lots of different things you can go do. There's lots of different, levels of 7-on-7, but I will say one thing and one thing only about Midwest Boom. It is the best 7v7 club. If you are associated with it, you drive a different level with college coaches. The college coaches definitely recognize, and it's no disrespect to any local teams that we have in our region or across the Midwest. You know, we've played against a bunch of them over the years, but when Midwest Boom shows up, every team knows who they are, and Midwest Boom shows up in your Twitter bio, the college coaches know who you are, and they know that you've cleared the process. So I think it's important to kind of know what you're going into 7-on-7 for and what you get from it. And, we can talk more about that, and I think we've addressed a little bit of it. But, if you're going to get reps and quality coaching and exposure through the system, Midwest Boom has a track record that's unmatched.
All right, well, good luck with that. A lot of 7-on-7 tryouts this weekend, starting early this year.
Yeah.
A lot of 7-on-7. Good luck to everybody on that. Everybody, Matt's going to be on assignment this week, going to tell us about Mizzou football up close and personal from inside the stadium. And we're going to be back here next week with all kinds of good stuff. The fastest hour of football talk on the planet. Wasn't it fast?
Yeah,
it went
real
by fast. Everybody stay safe and enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll be back here next Tuesday to talk to you. See ya.